Hey, folks. Long, difficult trip, but super proud of the guys, the way they battled to get the win. As everybody's aware, it did not go in any way, shape, or form how we wanted it to go, especially early. But as we found out with this group, they played and played and played and fought, and we dug ourselves back in and found a way. Didn't want to go into overtime. Glad we blocked the kick. Thought the defensive staff and the special team staff did a great job having that ready to go, and it worked exactly what it needed it to when we needed it most. Would love to have been out front early and played a clean game, but we struggled to cover them up front offensively early and created some problems. We got better as the game went on, as you guys have seen. Played a unique um, combination of guys up on the offensive line due to injury, and we're fortunate that we were able to get the win with guys playing that really haven't played very much, especially against that front. Just how big they are. They just kind of tossed us around a good bit of the day. Defensively, we played great early. We didn't do a good job offensively of paying them off, and I thought they fatigued, and it showed late that we struggled to get a stop when we needed it. But it was enough to get the win at the end of the day, and there's no such thing as an ugly win when you're rebuilding like we are and with as many injuries as we have and on the road in that environment to travel like we did, get up early and play and all the above. So it's a win. We're going to move on. We already have to Colorado State conference play. We got to find a way to get on the win board. And we've seen this is a much different Colorado State team than we've seen the last couple of years. They've got a lot of confidence coming in. We're going to have to play better, as we all know. And hopefully that's something we can do. And I'd like to think we'll get some guys back in terms of health-wise, but at this point it's kind of too early to tell what that's going to look like. What questions do you have?
Jason Walker with Cash Fairly Daily. You mentioned physicality. Teams having better size than you. Most of this year, I believe some last season. Like, what's been the obstacle as far as recruiting and developing that's led to you guys not quite having that this year?
I think where we're at, it's just getting used to the footprint we're in and where we have to go to get those guys up front, especially on the defensive line. We're without Kessie right now. He adds some power and size. Some of our defensive ends that we were anticipating playing with, they're playing for other people, as you guys know, and we're throwing some new guys into the mix. I think it's a combination of everything. We have been hit by graduation, transfer portal, and we've had some injuries that have created problems. And we've got some guys that are going to be good players, just aren't quite there yet, haven't played a whole lot. So it's all the above. Offensively, we're getting bigger up front, but we're inexperienced. And then this week we were beat up, and most of those guys didn't play. There's not a lot of room for error on either fronts. This is a very powerful league. This is a very powerful schedule, and it's a place in an area that we're trying to affect, but it is not something that you can affect overnight. We have not had the luxury of just going out and buy an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman. We haven't had that. We have to recruit them, develop them, build them, and then hang on to them. And you're seeing some of the signs and effects of that environment being difficult to maneuver. So we'll keep battling it and doing what we can. And then we obviously know our strength is speed, quickness, and being able to fatigue people and being better than them later in the game. It's not a lot of fun being in that environment, but it is where it is. We won a championship that way, and hopefully this team can reduce that gap and get better at it, and we can keep building at one recruiting class, one off season at a time.
Patrick Mayhorn with the Ag Ship. What is the health situation of the offense generally with McKay, but also with an offensive line that was, down 4 guys this past week?
Yeah, right now I don't. If we played today, obviously you'd see the same group that went out there in the second half and most of the game. Don't know yet at this point. Some of those guys could be better, could be day to day. McKay is going to be day to day. He felt better yesterday than he did when we finished the game. But I really don't know where we're going to be. And as you saw, next guy up, they got to go out and do the job. And I was proud of the guys that did. You got Bryce Radford out there and Wyatt, who was a tight end a couple weeks ago, and Maui playing center. And, not where we expected we'd be at this point, but we found a way to score 34 points with that group on the field. And obviously everybody's clearly aware of how good a job Coop did in coming off the bench and not turning the ball over, moving the chains with his feet, and delivering the ball and scoring touchdowns. So it took everybody and every piece, but we're far from healthy and don't know exactly what to anticipate over the next 24, 48 hours.
Charles J. Salves, Maggie Sports Radio Network. I know your health is declining. You've played 3 very physical games. You don't have a bye for another 3-4 weeks.
Yep.
Is there a strategic way to be able to get through this without, having a completely depleted roster? Or, how do you handle such a physical stretch with a bye not so close to the future?
Yeah, it's difficult. It is what it is. We looked at the schedule early, kind of anticipated this would be a concern. We're just not experienced enough to not practice the way you need to practice. And we're not getting guys hurt in practice, but we can't just pull off of them completely. We do put a lot of time and energy and effort into recovery. They have Sundays off, treatment only. Mondays, we don't do any physical work other than weight room work and recovery. But Tuesday and Wednesday, we got to work. We still have to grow some of these guys up. They've got to block. They've got to tackle. We've got to work physical drills. And there's not a glimpse of an opportunity here in the near future where we can just pull off and try to get these guys to game day. We're just not at that point in the stage of this process with the inexperience and all the things that comes with. We need technical work. We need to work to get better. So we're going to do the best we can to balance it and get a team to the field that's healthy on game day. And those that aren't healthy won't play. Those that are will. And we're going to find a way to be competitive with what we have that's physically capable.
Al Lewis, KBNU, away from football. This past weekend, they ran the feature on ESPN. You and I have talked about family suicide. It's not easy. But I just want to ask you, how hard was that for you to talk about? And then in turn, what are you getting back after that is run from people in the football community back to you?
Boy. Dealing with the loss of Kaysen has by far been the most difficult thing that I've ever had to carry as an adult, as a man. And I would love to tell you that it's getting easier, but it just doesn't. It is what it is. It's the world that I have to live in. It's the path I have to walk. And anybody that's lost a child, especially to suicide, with all the questions that you have that come with it, that just never stops. Your mind gets quiet for a little bit and it immediately goes there. Because one of the things that I've enjoyed about coaching is these kids can keep you tied up a little bit and keep you scratching your head enough that sometimes you find a little silence, because silence is not, is not easy to come by. I feel like I had to find some purpose in the pain that I was feeling. And if that gives me an opportunity to let God use the platform that he's blessed me with to help somebody else, anybody else, then I just feel like it's what I need to do. I feel like it lets God step out in front and really just, I say very clearly, God, the people he puts around you, and then the resources that are provided and that he's created for us to seek help. And so that has been the purpose. The response has been overwhelming, to be truthful. Support for those that can tell that I'm still hurting, that love and care about me and my family and my kids that are having to deal with this as well. And it's been a struggle for my kids. They have to carry the same weight, and they're in their own ways finding ways to handle that. And we're trying to lean on each other and on Christ. But then a ton of people that have reached out, just saying thank you. I needed it. It was helpful. We're dealing with this, or I didn't know what to do, or all the above. The response has been overwhelming. I thought Jen and the crew at ESPN did a great job they were very respectful. They were very compassionate in the process. And I thought they portrayed our feelings and our emotions and what we live with every day very, very well. And also, we're very clear about our message to help as many people as we can. Hope that answers your question.
I'll ask another one then about football this weekend.
No, it's okay, man.
Coach, I love you for all the stuff you've
I
done.
appreciate it.
It's not easy. Colorado State, this team has turned into a dynamic passing football team the last couple of weeks. They said they decided to be really aggressive. Can you see that with what they're doing?
Yeah. I think I saw it really kind of in the Colorado game a few weeks back that they've got one of the best, if not the best, wideout in the league, and they've got some good quality dudes around him. They hit the transfer portal really, really heavy and were able to bring in an offensive line. They've made some changes at quarterback, and that just sparked them. They've always kind of been an air raid. That's their philosophy. That's where they start. Want to be balanced, but air raid principles with Jay and Matt, and it just shows up. They're doing a good job of spreading the ball around and making it really, really difficult for you to defend the whole field. And they're big enough and powerful enough that they can run the ball too if you lighten the box. I think they're completely different than what we've seen the last 2 years, and much more of a challenge for our defense to be able to stop.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you were talking about Horton, who is terrific, but this BYU transfer, the tight end, has been unbelievable the last couple of weeks too.
Yeah, they use everybody. They're very similar to us in the fact that they really don't care where the ball gets pushed. I mean, obviously, we always have some thoughts about how we want to target particular guys, but they are willing to spread the ball around to the backs, to the tight ends, to the other wideouts. It doesn't have to go to Horton every time, but you better know where he's at or he's going to score. And so they are, I think they're year 3 or 4 into this build. And, he took a very, very, I think, calculated approach from year 1. They weren't very good year 1. They got a little bit better year 2. Now into year 3, you're starting to see how they've been able to attack the transfer portal to fit what they have. And, they've got some resources there that allow them to be good at what they're doing. And you're starting to see it show on the field.
Coach Patrick Mayhorn again. How important against this kind of offense, is it to get pressure with 4, to not need to bring extra guys in and get to the quarterback?
Well, I think you got to pick your poison. I mean, if you can't get there with 4, then you're going to waste your day and they're going to pick you apart. If you can get there with 4, great. And that would be awesome if we can. We'll have to see if that's something we're capable of doing. If not, you got to bring pressure and blitz, and then it's got to land. You can't add extra guys to the rush and then them not hit home. So it's a huge challenge, and their willingness to spread the ball around and just the nature of the offense itself. We use a lot of the same principles inside what we do that create some of the similar issues for defenses as well. It's got Joe pulling whatever little bit of hair he's got left out, trying to figure out exactly what's going to be the best approach to attack them. We're still early in the stages of that, still getting an idea who we're up against, but it is the dilemma. Bring people and hope you don't have to cover very long, or only bring 4, and you better win. You better win up front, or he'll sit back there, pat the ball, and you can't cover long enough to keep them all tied down.
Coach
Andrew,
Anderson.
Sorry, go.
Sorry, Andrew. Thanks, Andrew. Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. Well, I'm tongue-tied, evidently.
Sorry.
Kamara has 24, 25 sacks for them since the 2021 season. How do you game plan for a guy like that?
It's really, really difficult because he doesn't just line up in one spot, and they don't just do one thing with him. He is dynamic. We're going to have to do our very best to handle him. You schematically change things up for him where he doesn't see the same thing all day. You're blocking him, you're reading him, you're trapping him, you're screening him, you're doubling him, you're chipping him. I mean, he's got to see it all. And even then, he's going to make some plays. I mean, the guy's just a great player. And if you watch every game, he is an impact. We have to minimize his impact. We're not going to stop it. When he does make his play, we got to recover, move on. But we can't just be one-dimensional. We can't just play at one tempo. We can't just block him or attack him in one particular way. It is going to take all of those different schematic adjustments to have a chance to minimize what he's able to do. And I don't think he's their only threat. I think their D-line reminds me of some we've had in the past on years where we've won championships. They are a problem. They're all a problem. He just happens to be the feature of the problem.
KSL.com. Obviously, Ike Larson coming up with a huge stop for you last game and the special teams unit. But could you just talk a little bit about that whole safety position group in general and what they mean to the team, what they bring to the table?
Yeah, I mean, with what we do, those guys are extremely impactful. Devin Dye getting the pick early, what they're able to do in terms of coverage. They all play on special teams as well. Basically, every one of them is starter on multiple special teams. We ask a lot of that group to be really versatile with all the different fronts. Offensive schemes we've seen over the course of the first half of the season, and doesn't change this week. Now you look at something completely different. They're putting tremendous stress. I think Ethan's doing a really good job with those guys and trying to bring them up, grow them up. We took Switzer out of the mix and moved him up closer to the box, and that's not easy when you consider between injury, graduation, attrition, inexperience, and then you take one of your better players and take him out of the mix, asking a lot. And I feel like they've not been perfect, but definitely have been an impact and are playing better each week.
Which one more from Patrick Mayhorn? I just want to ask, what do you want to see from Cooper this week and trying to build on what he did last week?
Yeah, just consistent progress for him. He's done that. He did that, and even in the absence of being the starter, I think you guys saw the result of a good 2 weeks worth of prep and not hanging his head, not visibly coming in here frustrated every day. He came in with a great attitude. He had as much energy or more than anybody on our team, and especially our offense. He was helpful to McKay. He continued to ask good questions. Practice reps were really, really good at a high level, and you saw the result of that on the field. I thought he was a little bit more calm. He made better decisions, made them quicker than he had in previous games. And what I need to see this week is him to take the next step and just continue to improve. Protect the football, make the right decisions at a timely manner. I mean, this is not a place in a team that you want to hold the ball against, so he's got to work through his reads and be decisive. If he'll prep the same way he has the last 2 weeks, that gives him a chance to do that, and it allows our offense to have a chance to be successful. If he's cautious or fidgety or indecisive, it makes that more difficult, and he knows that, and that's what he's been working on. I thought he came in and did a great job for us.
Coach Al Lewis, again, you talked about Horton, you talked about Kamara. What about Ike Larson as a weapon against a team on special teams? Doesn't that make them have to do a lot more work during the week just to find him, and because of what he's doing with kick blocks?
Well, you definitely want to know where he's at. I mean, it wouldn't take long for us to figure that out with his ability to get free. We've got other people coming that create pressure as well, and one of them is going to land at some point, and if guys have been close. I mean, I think Colby Bowman has done a great job of creating pressure. There's several other guys up there on that front. But I don't know. I've just in my career have seen guys that just have a knack for finding their way through, not afraid to get their hands to the block point. They don't panic in the moment. And Ike seems to be one of those guys. And if I'm an opponent, I'm clearly looking and trying to figure out where the guy's at. I don't want – somebody else may block it, but I don't want it to be him. And that creates its own problems. Anything else, guys? Thanks so much.
Jason Walker with Cache Valley Daily. Just looking ahead to Colorado State. I mean, this will be a tough opponent as far as they're going to pass the ball a lot, and they got quite a few weapons. Like, how much of a challenge is it going to be for you guys in the secondary to figure that offense out?
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game for sure. We haven't had much time to go over and look at them a lot. We're gonna do that today, but I mean, just from what we've seen the past few weeks, they're a great team, and I feel like we got a good chance at winning this game. So we're just gonna prepare and do our best, and hopefully we can go out and play a good game. So
To kind of go along with that, Al Lewis from KBN, you faced Idaho State that threw the ball, but you haven't really faced a team that really is like this team. I mean, in some ways, passing the ball. What's the challenge of that compared to the defenses you've had to get ready, or offenses you've had to get ready for up until now?
They got some very good players on their team, like number 14 and number 4. They're super good players. So we're gonna key off those guys probably, and just we're not gonna change anything up too bad. We're gonna stick to our defense and stick to our game plan. But we just got to come out and play a good game against them, and win, lose or draw. Like if we play our best, we're not gonna be mad. So just like I said before, we're gonna prepare the best way we can, and just see how the game goes on Saturday night. So.
Since you already lost the one game to Air Force, this is a conference game. You can't go to 2 losses. I mean, you got to all have that mentality that you got to start running the table, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah, we're gonna do everything in our power to get a win this week. So it starts today with practice and meetings and all the above. So we're gonna do our best in those aspects, and hopefully that can carry over to Saturday, and we can take care of business. So.
Hi, KSL.com. Just had a question about Switzer.
Yeah.
How much does that affect your safety unit in your position group as he's moved to that will linebacker position?
I mean, shoot, it's been great. We're trying to get the best players on the field, at all times. So him moving to linebacker, I mean, it just helped our defense a lot more. So, it's been great, and he loves it. So, I mean, there's really no downfall of him moving from, safety to linebacker, because we got great safeties in the room. We got great backups, great 1s, 2s, and 3s. So, with him going to linebacker, I think that just made our defense a lot better. So.
Jason Walker again. Just how much should this win against Yukon mean to you guys? You've been kind of on the cusp of a couple of games. You're still 1-3. Like, how big was it for you guys to go to 2-3 instead of 1-4?
It was a super big win, especially you guys know what was going on with Coach A throughout this past little bit, so it was a huge win, huge team win. It was a well-deserved win, I think, and hopefully that can help us carry some momentum into this week against Colorado State, and we can take care of business. But that was a much-needed win, and we were super happy with it. So.
Brian Priest, KSLSports.com. You guys have been dealing with a lot of injuries on both sides of the ball in recent weeks. Can you talk about the next man up mentality that's in the locker room and on the sideline, and how you guys just continue to stay motivated and keep fighting despite the injuries?
Yeah. So I mean, it's a physical game. Football is a physical game, and people are gonna get injured. People are gonna get hurt. It could be week 1, like it has been, or it could be week 7 down the road. But the next man, the next man mentality up. Like it's just you gotta stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So we preach that a lot, because you never know when somebody can go down. So the next man up, like you said, just has to be ready. So. Really, it goes back into practicing hard, studying the playbook and knowing what you're doing, so when your number gets called, you can go out there and perform, take advantage of that opportunity. So.
Hey, Kyle Lewis again. You had the terrific play at the end of the game, and you talked about it the other day. There was one play in the game where the big guy scores the touchdown on the second effort. You're there to try to be the last guy to meet the 300-pound guy at the goal line. What was that like when you see him coming right at you like that?
Yeah, no, I mean, he was a great player. He was a big guy, but I mean, I tried my best. I tried to punch the ball out, because he was trying to reach for the goal line. But at the end of the day, it was a great play. I mean, he's a super good athlete. He's a big guy, and like they had a good offense, so they were physical. But I mean, him coming at me didn't really, I was just trying to make a play, and he won that one. So.
Jason Walker with Cache Valley Daily. Just with I think we have to find this after the game. Just with the volatility at quarterback, like, is there pressure kind of on the wide receivers to help, whoever's at quarterback be able to excel and help this offense go?
I feel like there's no pressure, us as a receiver room, we're really deep, and I think we can, help Coop out now since he's starting with the McKay's injury, and I think that we can, help him out, and also, with the running backs, they get in there helping him out as well. But us as a receiver core, I definitely think we can help him out.
Al Lewis from KVNU and Logan. Colorado State feels like they have this great receiver core. I think we've already seen what you guys have on your end. Just any personal thoughts about going into this game against a good group on the other side? You won't defend them, but you're going against you got to prove that you can do it too into this game.
Yeah, we just gotta, they have a great receiver core, like Ike said, 14 and number 4 are pretty good. But we also have a good receiver core, and I think we can, if we just put points on the board, and help our defense out, then I think we have a good chance to win this game.
Jason Walker again. You guys kind of mentally preparing yourselves for I guess maybe another shootout game. Both last couple games been high scoring. Colorado State's got a good offense. That kind of have to mentally prepare for that. The chance you guys may have to score a bunch of points to win this game.
Yeah, definitely. They have a great offense, great quarterback, great receiver core, and it's very explosive, as you saw, in the previous games. And as an offense, we're gonna have to, step it up this week. We can't start off sluggish, and we're gonna have to stay consistent through all 4 quarters. And if we, do that, I think we have a really good chance.
Andrew Hyde, KSL.com. Jalen, this week your performance was highlighted, I think, on ESPN, a few different big platforms. How does it feel to have your work that you've been working on your game that you've been working on for the past year or 2 years, specifically here at Utah State, kind of pay off finally in that big way that you've probably hoped for?
It's a great feeling. I'm blessed, to be able to play the game and be able to showcase my abilities. And when my time was, came, I made the most of it, and I think that's probably the biggest thing for me.
Jalen, I was going to try to ask the same thing, Al Lewis again. Where do you feel like, had to improve the most when you finally get into playing wide receiver spot? What are the details that come into that to make you a good receiver?
Definitely confidence. Lining up against the man above you, a man in front of you, and then thinking you could beat him every single play. That's probably the biggest thing because a lot of receivers, once they get down themselves, drop a ball, lack confidence. But you just gotta keep that confidence up, and then just play the best of your abilities. And then if you win, you win. You lose, you lose.
Right again, Jalen, on a few plays against Yukon, you were left pretty wide open. Were there ever some times where you were a little surprised at how open you were, and how well your team had set up that play for you to make a big play?
On the first touchdown, I think they busted coverage, and that was a little surprising right there. But the other two touchdowns, Brock, he set me up for that touchdown, and I beat the other guy, on a one-on-one coverage. So I think it's only on one of them I was surprised, but the other two I wasn't.